Okay, we are now on to Kid A, the fourth Radiohead album. If you haven't seen my videos talking about the previous three Radiohead albums, they are all up on my channel. Go check those out before you check this one out, because I'm doing all of their albums in order, and I spend a lot of time editing these videos, so I want you to check them all out. Kid A came out in 2000. It is 11 songs, 47 minutes, the shortest Radiohead album to date, and also the most unique Radiohead album to date, as this is the first album that isn't really centered around rock music. The reason for that is because basically Radiohead were tired of making music at this point. They hated being in the band and they really did not want to continue making music, so they decided that they were just going to take what they were doing and just take it in a completely different direction and see if that would spark some more creativity in them. And it resulted in Kid A, which is hailed as one of the greatest left turns any band has ever made in their entire discography. And for good reason, because if you listen to OK Computer and then this, it's like two completely different bands made the albums. OK Computer was like a time capsule for rock music in the 90s, which featured a lot of influences from other bands, whereas this album is completely electronic. So it makes for a very interesting listen, especially going from the previous album to this one. And honestly, I'm very excited to talk about this one because it's been a little while since I last listened to this album. So yeah, let's just get straight into it. Track 1, Everything in Its Right Place. Okay, you listen to the start of this song and it's like already sounds nothing like anything that was on any of their previous albums. This is like such a strange, abstract way to start the album off. It's so weird. You can't really tell what's going on in the song right away. You got these weird like backing vocals on the right channel that sound like a bunch of robots, dude. It's so cool. Like, all of these background noises are so odd. Like, all of these like interpolated vocals and stuff. It just sounds so strange. There's nothing like I can't really put my finger on what's exactly happening in the song. I can't tell what the structure of the song is, but it sounds incredible, and it's such an interesting place to start this album off on. I love this as an intro, honestly. Before I get into this little outro section here, this song does such a great job of setting up the, I guess, atmosphere of the album and the concept of the album. Basically, what the concept of this album is like a robot that gains consciousness as it views like an apocalyptic world around it. And this song is like the perfect way to set that up, like just all of these very strange backing vocals, the way the actual lead vocals are recorded. It sounds robotic. It sounds just so incredible, dude. Again, this is the perfect way to start this album off. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention. The way this album was written, the way basically every song on this album was written except for motion picture soundtrack, was that Tom York didn't want to write these songs. He didn't want to do any writing, so they wrote a bunch of phrases, mixed them up randomly, and basically picked them from a hat. And that's basically what you see on every single song on this album, except for motion picture soundtrack and maybe How to Disappear Completely. But yeah, that's why the writing here is so strange and doesn't really make any sense. But it also creates so much context as to what this album is going to be like and what it's going to be about. Honestly, this song is a 10. This song is like, it's pretty great. It's just like the most weird, strange, unsettling way to start this album, and such a huge left turn from anything you would expect, especially following the Bends and OK Computer and stuff like that. So yeah, this is like the perfect tone setter for this album. It's pretty great. I'm just gonna move on. Next song, Kid A. It's got a great transition, by the way. Like, as if everything in Its Right Place wasn't a strange enough opener to the album, you then have this, the most, like, weird, abstract intro ever, with the most strange noises possible, the drums recorded in such the drums sound so odd. You got all of these weird glitchy electronics going on. The mixing here as well, there's just something off about it in the best way possible. This is just such a strange follow-up to an already very strange song. These vocal effects, lots of people, the main complaint I see about this song is that the vocal effects on it are super outdated, and while I can see that complaint, and while I wasn't a big fan of the vocal effects on this song initially, honestly, the more I return to it, the more I'm like, wait, hold on, this is like really helping in setting up the environment for this album and building around the concept of this like robot gaining consciousness, I guess. It's just so weird. It's so strange, so abstract. It's not a song you can really re-listen to on its own. It's very much a piece of this album. You need to listen to the full album if you really want to listen to this song. But honestly, as a piece of the album, it is like kind of flawless. It just does such a great job of helping establish the tone and stuff. It's just so... It's basically perfect. One thing I quickly want to add is this album might be the best example of how great a producer Nigel Godrich is. Like, OK Computer was very, very, very well produced and well mixed, But Kid A is just like such a weird, strange turn, and it's entirely because of how brilliant Nigel Godrich is. He just makes the hell out of this album. It's just so odd. Especially coming back to it when I haven't listened to this album in a while, it's just so weird. That bass line's great though, that is just solid ass bass line right there. Alright, before we go into this incredible transition into the National Anthem, God, these lyrics on this song are just so odd and so creepy. We've got heads on sticks and you've got ventriloquists standing in the shadows at the end of my bed. The rats and the children follow me out of town. Rats and children follow me out of their homes. It's just such a weird, just strange way of establishing this character, this robot. And it's so, it's such a complete tone shift, even from Everything in Its Right Place. Everything in Its Right Place was weird and kind of unsettling. This just takes that even, like, a complete step further. This song, it just, like... It's like the first two songs on this album are trying to mess with you and trying to, like, confuse the listener into thinking, wait, hold on, am I actually listening to the right album? And I think that is brilliant. This song gets a 9 from me. The reason it doesn't get a 10 is because, again, it doesn't have that replay value that I think Everything in Its Right Place does. And I also think that, again, the vocal effects and the weird lyrics can be a bit much on some listens. It's not this time when listening in context and actually reviewing it, but sometimes I'm just like, what the hell is this song? It's just so weird. But hey, still a great ass song, and I think it's a perfect piece of the album itself. It's just, as a song, not the most replayable. And then we have this absolutely incredible transition into the next song, the National Anthem. Okay, that's already first 20 seconds. That's one of the most iconic bass lines right there. That is one of the best bass lines ever. It's just so catchy. It hooks you in instantly. It's so great. It's weird, but Radiohead weird. Yeah, this album, it's the most Radiohead that Radiohead have ever sounded. I'll say that's what this album is. I think the thing that makes me love this song the most is the fact that they were able to make a 6-minute song around just one bass loop and just building around that. It's just so incredible. The bass line stays the same the entire song. It doesn't change once. It's so incredible, dude. And the way they just build around it, adding so many different layers, and when the vocals come in, the vocal effects sound so weird on the song too. It's just... This is like where the album starts, like you start to see the bigger picture of the album, and you start really like understanding it better. And I think that like it's needed, especially after the first two songs. It's also not too like over the top either. They could have like made the song super overblown and stuff, but they didn't. They kept it like fairly simple, and the recording of these drums is very good. I think this song pushes the concept of this album along really well. It's as if like with the concept being a robot character gaining consciousness, you have the first song being completely robotic, the second song being even more robotic, and then this song is a little less. And then as it goes into how to disappear completely, I'm guessing that's when the robot gains consciousness. And they do it entirely just from the vocal effects. They show you that just from the vocal effects. It's so good. Oh yeah, this song has like the jazz orchestra just slapped onto the second half because we needed to make the song even more incredible. Brass orchestra, sorry, not jazz. I'm an idiot. God, it's so well mixed as well. It doesn't just feel like a wall of noise. It's just, it actually sounds layered. And it just like completely loses control in the end here. I guess that's meant to represent the, I guess it, like the instruments all losing control at the end here is meant to represent the robot kind of breaking out of its code, I guess, sort of realizing that the world is ending around it. I guess that's what that's meant to represent here. And then it ends with an actual national anthem. That song was 6 minutes and it went by like that. I distinctly remember the first time I listened to this album. The first two songs I was like, what the hell is going on? I don't get this at all. And then when this song came on and I finished it, I was like, okay, I see. This was the point where I like started to understand what this album actually was, and it's so perfect. There's hardly any lyrics in it. Like Tom York is only in the middle section of the song for about a minute, and outside of that, it is entirely instrumental. It's built around one looping bass line, and they just build an entire, like, I don't even know, they build so much sound around it. They had a brass orchestra in there, they have so many interesting electronics as well, and it is mixed to perfection. This song is a 10. It's perfect. This song's flawless. It's that just incredible. I'm just gonna move on to next song, How to Disappear Completely.
That's not me.
Okay. Remember how I said earlier this album was written in entirely by taking randomly picked phrases out of a hat and throwing them onto songs? This song was one of two. This song and Motion Picture Soundtrack were the only two on the album that were actually written, I think. This was written while Tom York was in a very deep state of depression from being on tour for OK Computer for basically 3 years, playing just the same songs every single night, and like losing his mind because of it. And this song is like a direct response to that. It's such a weird tone shift coming from 3 just entirely electronic songs and then going into this acoustic guitar with a really solid bass line underneath it and the strings in the background making it feel really airy. It's a very weird place to take the album, but I honestly think it works in context as, again, the robot has now gained consciousness, and this is sort of its reaction to what the world is actually like. It's a very cool way to take the concept, I guess.
I walk through walls. I float down the living. I'm not here. This isn't happening in a little while. I'll be gone, and I'm not here. isn't happening.
God, that sound in the strings there, it's so, like, that one sound makes this entire song, dude. It's so, like, Johnny Greenwood is just, it's such an incredible composer, dude. Listen, that is one. Damn. That is a contender for best Radiohead song, full stop. That is just. Jesus Christ, the writing here is so. It's so vivid, it's so descriptive, it pushes the concept forward as well as being a very personal song that works just in its own context. Johnny Greenwood's string composition on this song is possibly the best string composition he's ever done, including his film scores. It is that good, and just everything just comes together perfectly on here. The bass on this song sounds incredible. The mixing is perfect. Nigel Godrich produced the hell out of this song. It's one of like the best produced Radiohead songs ever. This song is a 10. It's one of the best songs ever created. It is just that good. It's one of the best. I am still just as blown away by that song today as I was 3 years ago. I'm just going to move on to the next song, Treefingers. I'm not going to do much talking over Treefingers because it's an ambient interlude, so... You know, this song probably doesn't have to be this long. If it was like a minute and a half, it would probably work a lot better. If this song was a minute and 30 seconds, it would have worked so much better. But it's sort of 3 minutes and 40 seconds, so it doesn't work that well. This is a complete... oh, Jesus Christ, the dog's barking brilliant. This is a complete... like, pace killer for the album. Like, the album just entirely grinds to a screeching halt with this track, and it feels sort of like a commercial break in the middle of a very immersive experience of an album. It sounds nice. This is a song I used to fall asleep to a specific sleep playlist, and this was one of the first songs I had on there. It's a great song for that, but honestly, outside of that context, I'm never gonna listen to this song on its own. Track 5 gets a 5.5. I'll give it 5.5. And that is going to do it for part 1 of Kid A. Thank you all so much for watching this. Stream viewers, don't go anywhere. We're going to be continuing filming part 2 in just a second. If you did enjoy, make sure to like, subscribe, recommend me any albums you want me to react to in the future down in the comments. Go check out my previous Radiohead videos. I spent so much time editing all of them. They're all great. Go check them out. And I will see you all in part 2. Goodbye.